Hey, if you've ever felt down and out about your podcast and you're feeling like you just don't have a great podcast mindset, in this episode, I'm going to share with you 3 ways where you can turn that frown upside down. Hey, friends, it's your boy Travis, aka your podcast buddy, your podcast therapist, and I'm back to bring you another episode. I'm talking today about mindset. I've been talking to a lot of podcasters who have taken a break or a hiatus or felt overwhelmed. And what this really comes down to for the most part is the mindset, the podcast mindset. So I want to share with you 3 things that I use personally to keep my mindset positive, a PMA, positive mental attitude about everything I'm doing. Okay. I'm running businesses, I'm doing podcasting, I make art and music, and all of those things can be something that you get overwhelmed or just can feel down in the dumps about. So, the first thing that I want to share with you that will help with your podcast mindset is comparison. So, comparison is the thief of joy. Write that down. Comparison is the thief of joy. As podcasters, as human beings, as whatever you're doing, oftentimes we're looking at our peers and those above us, and we're comparing ourselves. And typically when we make those comparisons, we feel down and out. We can feel like we're not doing as well as we really are. And the truth of the matter is that nobody can do your story for you, and everyone has their own journey. So you want to make sure that you just remember that comparison is okay in some capacity, but when you start looking at other podcasters saying like, wow, they have so much more downloads than I do, or they have a sponsor, or they have these cool audiograms, at some point in time, they were in the exact same spot that you were, okay? And they were probably looking at somebody else thinking, wow, that person's really got it all together. So comparison's cool for looking at trends, for looking at what people are doing, and steal like an artist. Steal the best part of every podcast, steal their strategy, look at what they're doing, see what's working, and apply it to your podcast. But anytime we're comparing ourselves to other people, we're typically going to feel down. Okay, so number 2 is overthinking. I do this all the time. I will debate myself like I'm 2 people on a stage behind 2 separate podiums on, well, should I do this? Should I take this strategy? No, I don't know. I need to research more. And I spend all this time overthinking. So anytime you catch yourself overthinking, here's what I want you to do. There's an author named Derek Sivers who wrote a book called Anything You Want. It's a phenomenal book, and I highly recommend you read it. It's actually about selling CDs as a musician, but everything he talks about is going to apply to podcasting. But he has a credo, and it's hell yes or hell no, okay? So next time you start thinking about any decision you're going to make, am I going to change podcast hosts? Do I need a new microphone? Do I want to go on this person's podcast as a guest? Do I want them as a guest? It's either a hell yes or a no, okay? So if you apply that thought process, it could be for a shirt. Is this shirt a hell yes or a no? It's going to save you hours of your life, maybe years of your life of spending time overthinking inconsequential decisions that really aren't going to affect you in the long term. What you're doing is delaying. You're saying, I'm not sure, I don't want to make a mistake. And from my personal experience, when I make a mistake, it's where I grow the most. So hell yes or no, make mistakes, who cares, right? You're going to learn from them and you're going to get better, okay? Now, the third thing to keep a positive mental attitude, and this can be difficult sometimes, but I want you to think about the compound effect. Doing one little thing every day towards your goal eventually compounds to a big result, okay? They used to do compounding interest in savings accounts, which they don't anymore. But the thought process is you put in a little at a time, and then as your funds grow, you're making more interest on it, right? So I want you to apply this to everything you do with your podcast. So let's take the overwhelm and feeling down about your podcast into the compound effect. Today, I'm recording a podcast, and that's all I'm going to do. And tomorrow, I'll probably edit that podcast. And the day after, I'm going to promote that podcast. And the day after that, I'm going to reach out to some people and tell them about my podcast. I'm going to do one single little thing every day. I'm not going to do it all today. Rome wasn't built in a day, and my podcast empire isn't going to be either. Now, all I have to do every day is think of that one thing I need to do. Today, I wrote down on a Post-it note, podcast. I'm going to do that. I'm going to cross it off the list, and I'm done. Now, at the end of the week, I'll have done 7 things for my podcast, okay? And over time, as the weeks go by, and the months go by, and the years go by, I'm going to amass more audience, more downloads, more episodes, more content, a better system, and just have more fun podcasting. I'm not going to overwhelm myself, okay? So those are 3 things that can help you keep a positive mental attitude, a PMA, when it comes to podcasting. And here's what I want to say to you. You can do this. Just keep going. If you don't feel like podcasting, check out the Pod Deck's episode deck. It's got 50 unique podcast starting prompts on it. Pull a card and start podcasting. Go spontaneous. If you feel like you're not getting the right guests, you might need to up your pitch for your guests. You could check out my course, Interview Secrets, at secret.poddex.com. That's got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm not going to tell you about right now. Every time you're feeling down, just go do one thing, hell yes or no, and stop comparing yourself to other people. It will greatly help your overall podcast emotional health. And I can't wait to see what you do next. Now, remember, you're only one episode away from your next download. I'll see you guys in the next episode.